So to the Ship of Theseus. Imagine there's a ship called the Ship of Theseus. The mast breaks and is replaced. Is it still the Ship of Theseus? We've replaced a central part, the mast. The mast really makes the ship, as they say, but let's say it's a ship, it's a ship of the line. It has 8 masts. One mast breaks, it's replaced. Is it the same ship? Some planks break and are replaced. And so the question really here is it still the Ship of Theseus? And if not, when did it stop? And any ideas from any of you? Let's say you replace every piece bit by bit over the course of 10 years. 10 years later, do you still have the Ship of Theseus? Have you slowly replaced it? Have you made a new ship over time? What do you think? All right, no obvious takers, so I'll present some solutions.
Can I say
Asma,
something?
go ahead, please.
Well, this reminds me of our genes because while growing up, they are replaced or renewed in a way, but we can still consider ourselves us. But I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have an answer. It just reminds me of the human condition.
Thank you, and that raises a very interesting point. I will not be presenting answers to these questions. These are questions for you to ponder and to come up with your own answer. More importantly, we're interested in how you come up with your answer. So Asma very helpfully introduced genetics, right? There seems to be scientifically, biologically, some essence to life, and that is codified in the genes, the genotype, which then expresses in the phenotype. Our genes replicate, they copy themselves, but sometimes they do so with errors, right? There's mutations, change over time, things like this. So thank you, great analogy. Thomas Hobbes, a contrarian to say the least, introduced a different version of this example, this thought experiment that really brings the point home. Once again, there's a ship called the Ship of Theseus. As the parts get old, they are replaced. And then, at some point, someone takes all the old parts that were lying in a pile, having been replaced, and builds a ship. Do we now have 2 ships of Theseus? When the second ship was built, did the first ship stop being the Ship of Theseus and the second one become the Ship of Theseus? So really go ahead.
Just Robert Brown has a comment saying, I think it comes down to what qualifies it as the Ship of Theseus. Is it the physical objects or some idea it represents?
So Robert says, yeah, I think it comes down to what qualifies it as the ship. Is it a physical object or some idea? Does anyone have any view of this, right? Are you you because we say so, or are you you because there is something in you that makes you you? Is the Ship of Theseus the Ship of Theseus because I say it is? Gavin?
Yeah, not to go, I may be misspeaking, but I'm completing the intro to philosophy. I think it was called like historical purpose. Like, what is the purpose of the actual thing? And I think it obviously changes from a person to an object. But with a ship, I would say whatever ship is commanded at the time to be the Ship of Theseus, even if it's been upgraded or replaced, I think the purpose of that thing makes it the Ship of Theseus. But that's only one take, and I could be misspeaking on what that term is called. Maybe it is Hobbes' version.
That is a very good solution to the question of the Ship of Theseus. And we have this for the Americans, Air Force One, right? Any airplane in which the president is called Air Force One. So if I build a little biplane in my back garden and somehow the American president gets into it and flies in it, that airplane, my little biplane, is Air Force One. The name travels with the purpose, the function. So in this case, we have an example of that. At the same time, the Ship of Theseus could have been exactly the same object, but no one had called it the Ship of Theseus yet. No one has taken a bottle of champagne, thrown it against the ship, broken it open, and said, I now call you the Ship of Theseus. Right? So the same object was and was not, 2 seconds apart, the Ship of Theseus. This shows that we can simply call things certain things if we want to, and there's also evidence of that in our world. Robert says, it gives an interesting flavor to discussions about saints' reliquaries, game, used jerseys, and family heirlooms. Yes, it does. These are very valuable things to some people. And the question is the same as the Ship of Theseus, right? Where's the continuity? Is there continuity? What is the continuity that we care about? Other than we keep on calling it something, is there anything else going on? So yes, this illustrates identity change and continuity, or at least problematizes these concepts for us. I like to take this to humans, and Gavin made that point. He said, obviously, it's somewhat different when we discuss humans and when we discuss ships, because as I said, with a ship, you can simply name it. You can rename a ship, and then you can change the wording. With humans, though, we tend to get more invested in the examples and we care more about it. So teleportation is typically how I think about this. So one kind of teleportation, I am mapped atom for atom. Some laser zooms around me. The position of every single atom that comprises my body is mapped. Those very same atoms are then sent somewhere else, and there my body is put back together. And I've teleported from one position to the other. Another way of teleportation could be that I am mapped atom for atom, but then I am destroyed and my atoms are just scattered. And the information, right, the map of me, just the information is sent over to Mars. On Mars, they have some hydrogen, some oxygen, some carbon, and a few of the metals. And from those atoms, they build me up again. And that's me. And then I've been teleported to Mars. So the question in, for example, the second example is, what if I'm not destroyed here? So they map me here, atom for atom. They send this information over to Mars. They build me on Mars. Now there's two of me, atom for atom, identical. If my memories are simply my brain, then the me on Mars has the same memories as I have. Which one is me? And I really care about this because if you say that the one on Mars is me, then I am not me, and therefore I should be destroyed. And I do not want that whatsoever. I really am invested in this. So what happens, right? Which one is me, which one is not? If they are identical in every physical way. And I think this brings the point home. Teleportation just accentuates the problem that always happens, right? The atoms that make up my body get replaced anyway. I breathe in, I breathe out. I have new oxygen atoms coming into my body all the time. I drink water. I'm 75% water. This water continuously cycles through my body. There's different atoms in different arrangements in my body. It just happens over time. We can call this aging if you want. My cells die and are replaced continuously by new cells. I forget things. I learn new things. My mind changes. My body changes. So am I still me from 7 or 8 years ago? If so, why? Because you still call me Peter? What if you call someone else Peter? Does that problematize this? And so here again, we have identity and personal identity, which is quite a touchy subject and a complex subject.